How's it going, YouTube? Thank you for visiting my channel. My name is Corey, and today we're going to discuss the new command cards from the new Brothers War set. Commands have been existing in Magic for several years now, so ever since the Lorwyn block actually was when the first set was created. So I thought I'd do a little bit of video. I'm going to compare the commands actually to those original Lorwyn commands because they're the only other ones that are monocolored. All the other commands that were printed in like the Tarkir block and in Strixhaven are actually multicolored. So let's do a kind of a direct comparison contrast and see what we think of these cards by today's standards. First up, I have the blue commands. The original Lorwyn printing, Cryptic Command for 1 in triple blue. You choose to counter target spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand, tap all creatures your opponents control, or draw a card. Pretty powerful, probably the most powerful of the original command cycle that was out there. Now let's compare it to the new coming card, Urza's Command, for 2 double blue, so it's a little bit easier to cast because it has 1 less blue in it, but the same CMC. It's an instant, just the same. Choose 2. Creatures you don't control get -2/-0 until end of turn. Create a tapped Power Stone token. Create a tapped 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this, creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, or scry 1, then draw a card. A lot of the modes are not comparable because they didn't exist, like the Power Stone bit. But there are some powerful similarities. The -2/-0 is kind of on par with the tap all creatures. You can kind of surprise your opponent and like they're like swinging for lethal, or they're going to try to give you bad blocks. Well, instead you just neg to them and then you have favorable blocks, or they just can't kill you and then you can crack back with it and kill them. Creating a construct is really good because if you're already building up Power Stone tokens or anything else, you can create just a big fat creature for them to deal with. The scry 1 and then draw a card is just way better than the original draw a card off of Cryptic Command, because at least you get some selection first. So all in all, I think Urza's Command might actually be more powerful in the grand scheme of things, though the tap Power Stone token mode is kind of a dead thing on there for the most part, unless you really want that artifact. Here we have the black commands. First up, from the original Lorwyn printing, Profane Command for X and double black. You get to choose 2 at sorcery speed. Target player loses X life. Return target creature card converted mana cost X or less from the graveyard to your battlefield. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, or up to X target creatures gain fear until end of turn. And if you don't remember what fear is or don't know what it is, they can't be blocked except by artifact or black creatures. This was pretty powerful, and this has been reprinted several times in Commander products. The image I'm using is actually one from a Commander one because it's a little clearer than the lower one I had access to. Now let's take a look at Gix's command for 3 double black, so it's a little bit more, it's not like an X type thing. Sorcery speed as well. Choose 2, put 2 counters on up to 1 creature, it gains lifelink. Destroy each creature with power 2 or less, so it's a little mini sweep. Return up to 2 target creatures from your graveyard to your hand. Nice little recovery tool. Or each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among creatures they control. So this gives us a few options. We've lost the ability to make our opponents sacrifice stuff in standard right now because Soul Shatter had rotated. But this gives us another version of Soul Shatter Plus. You get something else out of it, whether it's a board sweep so you can make them sacrifice the biggest thing they have and kill a bunch of their little guys, or you can build up one of your guys and then sweep the board out and then swing. You can, return a couple of your things back to your hand that died in prior combats, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of flexibility here with the Gix's command, and I think it's actually pretty powerful for what it does. Here we have the red commands. First up is the Lorwyn printing of Incendiary Command for 3 red. Choose 2 at sorcery speed. Incendiary Command deals 4 damage to target player, or it deals 2 damage to each creature, or it destroys target non-basic land, or each player discards all the cards in their hand and then draws that many cards. So you get basically a Fire Blast to the face, a Pyroclasm for the board, a Stone Rain, or a wheel effect, like a windfall style effect. I use this card a lot in Commander already. I use it in any of my card draw matters decks that have red in them for the wheeling part, and then oftentimes I'll just blast somebody in the face for 4 damage, or use the non-basic land to get rid of something like a Maze of Ith, or something that's really problematic. As for the new command, Mishra's Command, for X and red, you get sorcery speed, choose two, target player, or choose a player, and then that player may discard up to X cards, and then they draw a card for each card discarded this way. So you get it kind of a mirrored analog to the wheeling effect of the Incendiary Command, but you have to pay for the amount of cards that are getting spun. It deals X damage to target creature, so instead of doing it to each creature, it does it to a target. It deals X damage to a Planeswalker, which is new, because Planeswalkers were brand new back in Lorwyn, and I don't think they really wanted to hate them out too much. Or target creature gets +X+0 and gains haste until end of turn. So it kind of gives you a pseudo version of the burn part of the Incendiary Command, because then you just slap it onto like a flying creature or something like that, and you can just it's like a fireball effect. I kind of like it. It's the first command that's ever had an X cost in its spell, so you get some flexibility there. Like you can do it for a little bit, or if it's in a late game, you can do it for a lot, and so it scales throughout the game. Unlike some of the other commands where it's like, well, this is just kind of in the early game, or it's in the mid game. So this, if there's more mana you have, the more it does for you. And all the modes for the most part are gonna be relevant. Somebody's always gonna have a creature or a planeswalker to blow up. You're always gonna have a creature to smack them with, or if you don't have answers, wheel them away. Here we have the white commands. Let's start with the Lorwyn card. Austere Command, for 4 double white. Choose 2, destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments, destroy all creatures with CMC 3 or less, or destroy all creatures with CMC 4 or more. So this was before they started using mana value. So just CMC, or converted mana cost, is mana value if you're newer to the game. But what you do then is you just pick, whatever you need. If you need a Wrath of God effect for everything, you pick the last 2 modes, get all the little stuff and get all the big stuff. Or maybe you just need to get rid of all the little stuff, you blow the little stuff up, and then you attack artifacts or enchantments. It's got a lot of flexibility as a Wrath effect, and you can kind of take out what you need to take out as you go along. The new command, Kayla's Command, for 1 and double white sorcery, choose 2, create a 2/2 colorless construct creature token, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, and it gains double strike until end of turn. Search your library for a basic plains card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle. Or you just gain 2 life and scry 2. It seems kind of middling for the most part. I do like the +1/+1 counter on a creature you control and gaining double strike until end of turn. To say you have something that's big and tramply or flying or whatever the reason is, you can actually use that as a way to really punch a big amount of damage through on somebody in a pinch. Basic Plan Search is decent for a deck that needs to have more lands, or maybe you're mana screwed on color or whatever. This is a way to go get that. Not big on the gaining life and scrying 2, not huge on the 2/2 colorless construct artifact thing. I think it'll see a little bit of play in Standard. Outside of Standard, I don't think it's going to see a ton of play, only because there are better cards that do some of the functions of this one. And here we have the last of this command cycle. The original Primal Command, for 3 green, you choose 2 at sorcery speed. Target player gains 7 life. Put target non-creature permanent on top of its owner's library. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library. Or search your library for a creature, reveal it, and put it in your hand, and then shuffle. Those are all pretty powerful modes. Most of the time, I think players usually got something out of their graveyard and then searched up something too, just to fill their hand back up and give them more threats. But gaining 7 life, especially in like a Standard environment or that kind of thing, is actually pretty decent, especially if something that deals with like life gain matters. So let's compare it to the new Titania's Command, for 4 green at sorcery speed. Choose 2, exile target player's graveyard. Kind of similar to making somebody shuffle the graveyard into their library, but this is a little more powerful. And then you gain 1 life for each card exiled this way. That's pretty good, especially if they've been playing around in their graveyard. Search your library for up to 2 land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. So this is kind of like an expensive mode for getting lands out. Create 2 2/2 green bear creature tokens. Again, that's kind of okay, not great. Or put 2 counters on each creature you control. That mode is very powerful, because what you can do is either you can create the 2 2/2s and then put the counters on stuff, so they're actually 4 4s. So you're getting 8 power for 6 mana. That's really good, especially in like a standard environment. And it might actually be good enough to use in like Commander as well. Exile and Graveyard is always good, especially if you got an environment where graveyard play is a huge deal and they're flashing stuff back or resurrecting stuff or whatever they happen to be doing. That's a good mode to have on this card, but it's a little slow for that part. Sometimes you need those quick, fast, like 1 and 2 mana things to get the graveyard locked down. Greasefang. But, it is what it is there. And then searching up 2 lands at this point when you already have 6 mana to cast this is kind of a miss. I think they could have used a better mode on the card than that one because you're not... I mean, great. We have all these high casting cost creatures that are coming in, and maybe I'll be eating crow on that because of that fact. But at 6 mana, I really don't want more mana off of a big spell like this. I want other things going on. All in all, I think it's a decent card, but I'm not huge on that mode. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with my assessments of the new commands and some of my old assessments as well with some of the older versions? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching. Do the whole YouTube like, comment, and subscribe thing, and I'll see you next time.